Good evening, everyone. We are here with kind of an impromptu Studio Ghibli review. We realized that we only have two of these left. We would have finished this on schedule. That was my bad. And then we decided to add the Red Turtle into the mix, which was sort of a kind of not really a Studio Ghibli movie, but sort of was. And we're sort of at another one of those today. So with only two left, I thought, why don't we just try and cram both of these this week? Now, we'll just say this right now that we're not going to be live on Wednesday because schedules are conflicting and whatnot. So we're actually going to push the very last one to Saturday this week. And then we'll have done them all. The Boy and the Heron will be our last one. But before we can get to that, we have Hayao Miyazaki's son, Goro Miyazaki, with his, I think this is his third work, isn't it? I think he did Tales from Earthsea, which was one of the lowest rated ones. Then he did From Up on Poppy Hill, which I thought we seemed to enjoy that one. That one was fine. That was the one with the college kids where they were trying to get their like common room all spruced up because it was going to be taken down. The inspector came in. Do you remember when we did that one? No. Well, we did that one. I seem to remember as quite kind of like
over my head, that one a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It's just kind of, it hasn't stood out, which says something for the one with the badgers, the raccoons, the fucking whatever it's called.
Pompoko.
That stands out for being shit. That just kind of went.
Nah. And I was dreading this one from day one. Having looked at the list of all the Studio Ghibli films we needed to work through, there was one that stuck out like a sore thumb. It being the first and currently only fully CGI animated Studio Ghibli movie, which already rubbed me up the wrong way because I was like, this doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. This was what I went through with the Walt Disney films. You've got a house style. You're used to that hand-drawn style. Little bit of digital coming in here and there for some of the 90s ones, but it's fine. But then you hit Chicken Little and it's like, oh, this is too different. This is Studio Ghibli's Chicken Little. I'm going to go that far with it. To me, this film is an absolute stain on the name of the company that is Studio Ghibli. I thought this was utterly dreadful. And I wanted to give it a chance. I saw the reviews. I saw that this is the lowest rated Studio Ghibli movie. I saw the poster. I hated everything about this, but I thought, you know what? Maybe it's not going to be that bad.
Is it to
but it was.
Is it to Studio Ghibli what Ian Watkins is to Lost Prophets? Is that how bad you're saying?
Yes. Yes, I am. This film can fucking suck it. This was awful. There's legitimate, not even in just in terms of Studio Ghibli. It is the worst Studio Ghibli movie for me out of all of them. This is also one of the worst animated films I've ever seen in my life. This looks like, you know, when you go to Poundland and you find those really cheap shit made with a budget of like £5 animated films. They're done with like awful CGI computer animation, whatever. They look janky as shit. They've got like a knockoff name. Maybe it could be like a Wizard of Oz thing, but they can't call it Wizard of Oz. It's called like the Oz of the Wizard or something. I don't know. It's like it's cheap knockoff shit. That's what this felt like. To see that Studio Ghibli, yeah.
Or Dorothy Goes to the Green City.
Yeah, there you go. That you know what I'm talking about. That's what this felt like. When I saw the Studio Ghibli logo at the start, I was absolutely dumbfounded. I was like, there is no way they would have sanctioned this.
It looks a little bit like a Pixar short, doesn't it?
I think that's giving it way too much credit.
It does look a little bit like a really old Pixar short in terms of like the kind of the animation quality. I mean, this came out in I don't know, what year was it?
2020.
Not
that long ago, really.
So, but it looks like the animation that was used in like the 90s of Pixar, sort of like, you know, because we said this about Chicken Little as well, how that came out 2001, was it? Something like that. So, what was it, 2002?
I think it was 2006, if I remember rightly. Let me just have a look.
Like Shrek had already been a thing, basically.
2005.
Yeah, we were just saying how obviously Shrek had already been a thing. It wasn't like early 3D animation kind of thing. It's like, why was it as, you know, shitty as it was? It's the same with this. It's 2020. It looks like that 90s Pixar, just kind of like, yeah, but that looked like that then. This looks like that now, and that's really odd. It's literally 5 years old.
I think it looks terrible. In all honesty, like there's no textures to anything. Everything looks like it's just made of plastic. The backgrounds just broke my fucking heart. You know, all those Ghibli movies that we talk about, like the lush greens, like the meadows and the woodland or whatever of the countryside, and then you've got like the blue of the sky or the ocean or whatnot. All of that was completely lost in this movie. Now, there've been Studio Ghibli films that have been mostly set in a house, you know, interior or something like that, you know, Howl's Moving Castle or Spirited Away. You know, there's a bunch of them. Kiki's Delivery Service as well, to some extent, which is probably the best comparison, I guess, in terms of a story. It's dealing with witches and sort of like a day-to-day affairs kind of thing, I suppose. If you're going to compare it to any, I would say that Kiki's Delivery Service. But that film actually has charm and sort of like a nice story, a quaint environment that it's set in, you know, small seaside town, village or whatever. What is the story of this one? Could you help me out with this? Because I'm kind of at a loss.
There's a little orphan girl. She is given to an orphanage on the doorstep, that sort of thing. Then she is adopted by a witch because the witch wants her to help out in the house.
It's like Harry Potter, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the witch
little baby Harry left on the doorstep, and then
the witch lives with this dude called Mandrake, and he is. I thought he was her creation for like. I thought it was this whole thing, and she helps him out as a witch. They get into a fight. She realizes that they were both in a band with her mum.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, Gem and the fucking holograms show up, and it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it was. I didn't understand why that was a thing.
The plot is so paper thin to this, and this is probably one of the shorter ones as well. This is at 82 minutes, and I had to watch this in 2 sittings. I had to pause it. We went to see Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair, which was pushing 5 hours long, and even that didn't feel as long as this film did today. This was agonizing. I will say as well, out of all of the ones that we've done so far, there is a Japanese version available of this film. I could not find it. So I've been watching all of these Ghibli films on Netflix. They've all had Japanese languages, and that's how I've watched all the previous films. But I had to join you today in terms of watching the English dub, which I don't know if things got lost in translation, the lip movements and whatnot.
I wouldn't say things got lost in translation. It didn't feel like that, but it was very... The voice acting was just a little bit stale, a little bit bland, a little bit sort of. It wasn't anything to scream about. The kid's voice was very. Do you know what? I will stand by. There were some lines that were delivered okay. There were some lines that I thought, okay, this is all right. But the reason there were some lines that were all right is because they stood out amongst the whole. Okay, this one's okay. It's like when someone's really great and they do one thing that you like because that stands out because you're just like, oh, you fumbled at that, but everything was perfect. This was like the opposite. It was kind of like the whole time, but then occasionally you got the whole, oh, that's okay, but that was few and far between.
Well, you got Richard E. Grant in there in the English cast, and you could do a lot worse than Richard E. Grant. Like, he's always an absolute joy to hear in whatever role he's in. Even in Star Wars Episode 9,
I mean,
I thought he was the best thing in it as General Pride or whatever his name was.
In Star Wars Episode 1, we had Liam Neeson. Did that save it?
He was good.
No, he was good. It was a good movie. But I'm just saying, most people would say even he couldn't save it. So what I'm saying is a good actor don't really fuck all.
Yeah. We've got a comment from Carl. He says, "Evening, guys. And I remember from a previous stream that it's Dale's birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday for tomorrow."
You know what? I thought it's great that someone remembers. That's awesome. But also, it's Wednesday anyway.
I was going to say, yeah.
It's good that someone remembers.
Is it so the 17th, right? Is it really bad that I remember it's the date of your birthday because I remember when Return of the King came out, 17th of December, back in 2003?
So did Fellowship.
Yeah, I think they all did, didn't they? Did they all fall around there? They're coming out at the cinema again in January for the 25th anniversary, and with some very nice popcorn.
If they all came out on the 17th, then they should have redid that on the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they waited.
Yeah, they mess up with anniversary dates, don't they? A lot of the times.
That was weird.
Like earlier in the year, you had Back to the Future 40th anniversary, And then probably a month ago, it was on the news saying, "Oh, we're celebrating Back to the Future's 40th," and I was like, "Hang on, wasn't that like earlier in the year? Because that's when Odeon did it." I don't understand. I don't understand these things when they screen them. But anyway,
Although one person that got it right, Sammy Hagar's doing his Birmingham show 1 year to the day after he played Birmingham before.
Yes, he is.
That got it right. That was good.
I wish I could get tickets for that as well. I mean, we have tickets. We're off to the London show. You're also off to the Manchester show. Shit, at that point, you may as well just go to the other 2 dates.
I'll just go to the Birmingham one just cause, and I might as well just go to Leeds anyway. Because
is it going to be like this thing that Disney are doing with the new Avengers Doomsday trailer? It's that in front of the new Avatar film, which I'm watching this Sunday. I kept forgetting when I'd actually booked it for. So expect a review for that at the weekend. That's going to be an absolute blast. They're doing 4 different Avengers Doomsday trailers. So it's incentive to go and see Avatar at least 4 times in the hope of seeing a different trailer.
No, it's not.
It's going to be like that. Every time you go and see Sammy Hagar, he's going to do a unique song of the night. So you got to see him 4 times.
And dreams will be on the Birmingham.
Oh, don't. We need it. Anyway, back to Earwig and the Witch. Oh, fuck's sake. You know what? I'm so petty with this as well. And this is because I really, really hated this film. I hated doing the wallpaper for this thing. I hated doing even the thumbnail. Look at this for a sec. Look at that. It's horrendous. Even just in terms of like the continuity of all the thumbnails for these videos. I hate this one.
Remind me of. She reminds me of, I don't know, but she reminds me of someone.
She looks like Darla from Finding Nemo.
That wasn't that great of a movie.
Ooh, spicy hot takes. Save the hot takes before we do our Pixar retrospective next year. February is when it's all going to go down. What I really didn't like about this film was just the plot went nowhere. So it is actually based on a book of the same name by Diana Wynne Jones. I'm hoping that the book is better. I think she actually did the Moving Castle books. I'm guessing what Howl's Moving Castle was based off. So they clearly sort of went, right, what worked? Well, Howl's Moving Castle was a success, so let's see what other books she's got. And maybe the book's a lot better. Maybe it's more fleshed out. We've seen from a lot of these Studio Ghibli films, and even Disney does this too. Whichever book they base a story on, the final product is almost completely different. It may as well be a completely original story by the time it's all done. But I just felt like the story didn't go anywhere. So you have this bizarre car chase at the beginning, and you have a witch who's being pursued by a bunch of other witches, she says. They're after the baby, I'm guessing, for some reason. And yeah, she leaves it at an orphanage, and she says, like, until the heat dies down, I'm just going to leave my baby here. And she grows up in the orphanage, and she's sort of like this rambunctious 10-year-old or whatever. And she doesn't want to get adopted because she's sort of got everyone under her thumb at the orphanage. I thought, okay, this is sort of a fun little setup. She gets adopted by this family who's a witch. And what would you even describe Mandrake as in this? He's sort of interdimensional demon being or something.
He's just a demon.
And the witch says, look, the only reason we've adopted you is because I need help with the chores. I need an extra pair of hands around the house. And most of the film is really just her in sort of like a Cinderella role, I guess, sort of slaving away, cleaning things, preparing things for the evil, wicked witch mom, I guess. And then at the end of the film, she just finds a loophole with her magic so that she now has everyone under her thumb again. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't particularly like the protagonist of this. I didn't think she was a nice, endearing girl. I thought she was kind of like a bit of a spoiled brat, a little bit mean-spirited, I thought, all the way through. And then at the end of and then it becomes a Christmas movie. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is tying in with, 'tis the season and all. All of a sudden, it's Christmas. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the mom shows up. And then the film ends. It's like, I feel like we need an explanation here. Why didn't she try and speak to her daughter or get in contact? Like, did the heat not die down for 10 years? What are we doing it? And then in the mix, that like the people that have adopted her were in a band with her mom. Did they know that this girl was the daughter of the mom who was in the band with them? There's no story. Help me out here. There's no fucking story to this film.
Yeah. It was very interesting in terms of when you found out she was in a bat. I was like, oh, okay. And then, like you say, it just ends. That's the thing. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't do anything. It's. I mean, I like the fact that they got fried toast.
There's some of the food, yeah. So it's set in 1990s England, isn't it? Which was kind of fun, I guess. They mentioned
It's a
like
weird setting for a Studio Ghibli film to have.
it is. It is, yeah. That's what I meant, and that's why it didn't feel Studio Ghibli
and all that. And I'm like, it's just really out of place. But
yeah, shepherd's pie. They mentioned like Stoke-on-Trent service station at one point.
Yeah,
very bizarre. It's all very, very bizarre. And I was trying to look at some of like the pre-production of this thing. There's not a whole lot of information on it. So, as I mentioned, Goro Miyazaki directed this, the son of the main studio head, Hayao Miyazaki, and he announced it was going to be the first full 3D CG animated Studio Ghibli film. And it's a co-production between Studio Ghibli and NHK and NHK Enterprises. I don't know how this got past everything. I have a feeling that like the producers from like the higher ups, Hayao Miyazaki would try and veto this film, going like, "What the fuck are you doing? This is an absolute abhorrent mess. This is not Studio Ghibli. This is not what we founded the company on." But maybe they were just looking at all other animated films. As I say, like 2020 isn't that long ago, really. Like, I can actually say that with this film. 5 years ago.
Do you reckon a lot of their stuff was off due to COVID and that was it?
Well, the release date got postponed because of COVID. So in my mind, COVID wasn't even that. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. But when you say like, "Oh shit, it's half a decade ago," you're like, "Oh, that hurts." That hurts how quickly time's moving. But yeah. So apparently, Goro says that his father and the head of Toshio Suzuki, who's like the producer and chairman, president of Studio Ghibli, they encouraged him with this film, and after that he was just kind of left to his own devices, and it was really just him on his own and a bunch of the younger staff that worked on this. And this is a quote. He says, and quote, "didn't consult with the old guys at all," end quote. And that seems like there's a lot of bad blood maybe between, I'm just speculating, between Goro and Hayao.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a bit of a left field movie, wasn't it?
And Goro also said that he is the only one at the studio who knows the method of creating CGI animation.
It's so weird because this one was Studio Ghibli. The last one wasn't, but it was. But this one felt like it wasn't, but it was. The other one felt more Studio Ghibli than this one.
Both are co-productions. This one's more Studio Ghibli than the other one, I would say, in terms of the involvement. So yeah, this is just completely head scratching how, as I say, this almost feels like a stain on the company. It really does. And we reviewed some not so great Studio Ghibli films. You would probably argue that there have been some really, really bad ones that we've talked about before. I don't think any have come close to being, hair-tearingly awful until this one. This does not feel like a Ghibli film. If I was buying all of the Ghibli films, having a collection, this would be the last one I'd fucking buy, and I'd never watch it. It would just be there. I don't even know if they have made this, that like numbered collection I was telling you about last week.
I've not ever seen a physical of it.
Same. I mean, it probably exists. I mean, I could go on like eBay or Amazon. I'm sure I could find one on there, but yeah. And even the music for this one, just, I don't know, man. The music really didn't do it for me. You've got the score by Satoshi Takabe. The name rings a bell. It's probably scored a few of the films before. Let me just double check. But yeah, I just found the score very...
The band sounded familiar, though. I don't know why, but it sounded familiar, like it came from something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I don't know. I can't help you with that one. I was going to say Hex Girls, but that's actually really fucking good music from Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, so...
Yeah, it's not that.
I'm genuinely really, really struggling here, guys, to mention anything about this. Just the animation looks absolutely dire. There was no vibrancy to it. We talk about the colors really popping on all of the other Studio Ghibli films. I don't know if that was a color correction thing that was added in post into this film. I don't know if it's a limitation of whichever CGI software they were using, but nothing about this looked dazzling. And there have been countless CG animated films that look absolutely stunning. You know, you could say the Kung Fu Panda films, How to Train Your Dragon, a bunch of the Pixar ones. Disney even with like Tangled or whatever.
Bug's Life back in 1990 something.
Yeah, like throw a dart at a board. There's loads of examples, and this ain't one of them.
No.
Sometimes we champion an animation company for doing something a little bit different, for bringing out a film that animation style is completely different to what it's done before. But I feel like this was a step too far. And here's the thing, like, maybe this film would have gone over better slightly if the CGI was up to snuff, if the animation was really striking.
But would it improve? What else would it improve realistically? Because, like I said, the voice acting was just not there. It was just a bit. It just didn't. None of them sounded memorable. None of them sounded. Yeah, the story was. I mean, I think it's quite quirky. The fact that there's like, oh, they're going to be in a band, but it stopped there. It's not like it went anywhere. If they had done the whole, all right, so we're going to put them in a band, and then they're like, oh, I get, and they just went into a little bit of a, like, if you found out they were in a band a little bit earlier on, then it went into like, she tried to find her mum or something. Like,
yeah,
it'd be fun and quirky and going, okay, that's weird and random, but that's cool because a lot of these things have weird and random things. But it just kind of left it right at the end, and it felt like, okay, but why? Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like it wasn't like it was just a little thing either, where it's just like, I don't know, right at the end for some random reason, the witch turned into a frog because, I don't know, the moonlight turns her into a frog. That doesn't have any effects on the story. It's not like that, because that would be like, okay, that's just a random fun little thing. But this was something that did have an effect on what happened, and then we found out nothing about it. And you're like, but I don't understand why. It was just weird.
I thought it was going to keep cutting back to the mom who's on the run, who's trying to get back to her daughter or something like that, or the daughter, as he said, trying to discover who her mum was, why she got left. None of that. And then she just shows up at the doorstep for the final shot, the final moment of the film, and then you hit credits. Yeah. And it's like, well, all that was pointless. A lot of it is just her doing chores around the house and complaining about it and trying to find a way to punish her, you know, adoptive mom, essentially. You know, she says, oh, you want an extra pair of hands, right? I'm going to use some like witchcraft and voodoo so that you sprout extra hands and whatnot. And it never goes beyond that. I thought the Mandrake character, Richard E. Grant, I thought his voice matched the character very well. And he's got sort of a quirky look to him. He's got almost like these really like big pointy horned ears almost, and he's got these glasses, and when he gets angry his goggles sort of fire up.
He was very considerate though, wasn't he? Because he could walk through walls. But when they get into the house, he opened the door for them. He didn't just walk through.
Yeah.
And I thought that's quite, because as soon as he did it, I thought if he could walk through walls, why isn't he doing that? And I thought, oh, he's letting them in. That's nice of him. And then after that, he just didn't give a shit again.
But there's just nothing to this movie, and I do wonder maybe if the main character is a little bit more charming in the Japanese version, because I know sometimes, depending on which version you watch, sometimes the voice can be kind of abrasive in the Japanese version or vice versa. I really didn't like the voice acting, and I think the mouth movements as well, not lining up. I didn't know if I just put that down to the janky animation or the fact that it was a translation. Probably the latter, but even still, that went against it. But the main tragedy is the animation to me. It's because Studio Ghibli is sort of right up there with like old classic Disney in terms of really propelling hand-drawn animation, traditional animation, just the expressiveness and really endearing qualities it's able to bring out in its characters and its animation. And it's all lost on the animation here. Like everyone was just like flat emotionally. I was getting no emotion from the characters at all. It looked so like this plastic sheen on everything. It felt so unrefined. It felt like we're in 2020, guys. We can fucking do better than this. Your Studio Ghibli, granted you're not a studio that's pioneering CG animation, but surely you have connections to things that, you know, to people that can help out. Maybe Goro did all of this. Yeah. Maybe he did this in like a garage.
it was very B movie-esque, wasn't it? Very, like you say, the budget film you'd find at the bottom of the budget basket that they're all like 50p each and all that. It was one of those. It was, yeah, it did feel kind of similar as well to when Disney started doing it, where you had Meet the Robinsons and stuff, and they kind of fell off. It felt that kind of like, this doesn't fit. It was, yeah, but Meet the Robinsons was okay.
It has an all right story to it. Yeah, I remember coming around to that one. This is like Chicken Little. This is the Chicken Little of Studio Ghibli for me.
Yeah.
As I say, maybe Goro just did all of this because apparently he did say he is the only one at the studio who knows the method of creating CG animation. So if that's true, then maybe this was just all a solo project, which would explain a lot. I've actually had a look at what the future of Studio Ghibli is, because the next one that we're going to review is the last one so far. It came out in 2023. Currently Hayao Miyazaki's last film. Apparently he's working on another one though. But it's The Boy and the Heron. And I was looking at the future of the company, like who owns the company now, who's sort of like the main chairman, where's it moving to? And I couldn't really find a clear-cut answer. I've heard some things that they'd like to adapt a work of Edgar Allan Poe. Hayao Miyazaki is apparently actively working on another Studio Ghibli film at the moment, which is going to be sort of like an action-packed film, they mention, like a throwback to some like action things that he's into. But I didn't really find a clear-cut answer. And I did see something where they were trying to find the next, someone who can continue the legacy. And they mentioned Goro, and I think they did offer him the position, and he turned it down. And after seeing this, I'm very grateful for that, because the current state that we're in with Disney at the moment, granted it's all sequels, I am wondering if Goro has his way, would he just move it in the direction like this of CG, which I really don't want to see for Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, it's a shame because a lot of anime and stuff is all 2D, and it's like the last living sort of thing that primarily focuses on 2D, because as I say, you got it with Disney, DreamWorks has been fucking did they have any 2D stuff back in the day?
Yeah, they did like Prince of Egypt. Yeah. Granted, that had like digital elements to it.
Yeah, but they've been doing it for quite a while, and obviously Disney's doing it now. It's very sort of like, it's become a lost sort of thing. I get that it's cheaper, but it's just, and this was like the nice release from it, and it's, I really hope that doesn't happen.
There really is a gap in the market for hand-drawn, and I think people are ready for it. I think if an animation company came back and said, right, we're going to do a classic, traditional, hand-drawn animated film, I think people are ready for it now. I think the nostalgia's there. I think we've had so much of one thing for a while. This was why it was so great in the 90s and sort of like into the early 2000s, where you had clear distinctions. You had so much variety with the companies. You had Disney, that was the hand-drawn company. If you wanted CGI, CG animation, you had Pixar. DreamWorks would kind of do a bit of both every now and then, and there was so much variety out there. Now it's like everything, as you said, because it's quick, it's easy, you can get I won't say it's easy, there is still skill in it, and there is still art that goes into it, but it would be nice to have other things on offer just in terms of as a consumer, someone who loves animation, to have different animation styles. I would love to see hand-drawn come back, and maybe it will. I hope it does, but this was not the way for Studio Ghibli. If this was their latest film, then wow, what a drop off a cliff. But thankfully, I mean, I haven't seen it yet. It could be a terrible film. It could be a meh film. I guess we'll find out at the end of the week. But thank God Hayao Miyazaki stepped in, and we've got The Boy and the Heron as the last one, because I'm going to choose to forget. If I could have that flashy thing from Men in Black and just the existence of this film, I would. This film was awful. It's the worst Studio Ghibli film by a country mile. It's one of the worst animated films I've seen.
I think saying it's one of the worst animated films is very harsh, though. I'm sure I could find a few more.
They probably are, but this is definitely up there. Just in terms of the lack of story, likable characters, just any kind of character, any shred of character or story which is like fundamental to anything. There was no charm to this. Even if you're just looking at it from a pure animation standpoint, the animation looks terrible, and especially for the time isn't up to snuff. Even if you put this against movies that came out in the fucking 90s, this wouldn't hold a candle to it. It just, as I say, this is like bottom of the barrel, Poundland, cheap knockoff DVD vibes to this. And the fact that the Studio Ghibli logo is attached to the beginning of this is just an absolute fucking travesty. Don't watch Earwig and the Witch. Please, just spend your time watching something else. I guess the small mercy of this was that it was 82 minutes. But even then, I had to watch it in 2 sittings. So,
I mean, I got through it in one, so I don't think I hated it as much as you did.
Oh, but we've got one more, and we're all done. The Heron and the Boy. We've watched the trailer for it now. Granted, the trailer that we watched, I'm guessing, was a teaser trailer. Is very much like a nostalgic look back at everything Hayao Miyazaki's done. It was a lot of clips from some of his older ones, you know, like Castle in the Sky and Totoro, things like that. So yeah, I mean, we've got nowhere to go but up after Earwig and the Witch. So I'm hoping it's a good one to end the retrospective on. And then we've already discussed this. We're going to try and plan a day for it, hopefully before Christmas. We're going to do a ranking of all the Studio Ghibli films, because it's been a bit since we've done one. We did one for all the Disney animated classics. There were 64 films we had to get through in that list, so we did 2 separate lists. But with there only being 24 Studio Ghibli films, we can do that in one video. So I'll rank one and you rank one, etc., etc. And it'd be good to get back into them, because I'd quite like to bring the rankings back, the tier lists. Sorry, when I say rankings, I'd like to bring them back a lot more into the new year if people want to watch them and if people are interested. So yeah,
that'll do for every decade. Just ranking every movie from that decade. Just go in. No, every movie from that year by year. Every movie that comes out that year from 19.
Oh Lord.
10.
Well, Letterboxd does break everything down into years, so get working your way through them.
Every single movie ever, all the way up to modern times.
It's physically impossible. Well, that's just impossible. That's an impossibility. Can never be done. But we can choose what we consume. We can choose which films we watch.
And yet we chose this.
And yeah, that's why I think like this is, you know, we love doing this. We love live stream. We love movies. But sometimes when you get to a film like this, it does feel like work. It's just I've got to set aside 80 minutes of this. I could be doing anything. Could be practicing an instrument. I could be editing. Could be socializing. But I'm here on Netflix watching Earwig and the Witch.
Yeah.
But we have some good ones too. Every now and then we get to watch Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair, and it was great.
I'd rather do that than socialize.
Yeah, that's fair. Let us know your thoughts on Earwig and the Witch. If you are one of the unfortunate few that have watched this film, please do let us know. Do you think that this is the worst Studio Ghibli film? Maybe I've been too harsh on it. I don't think I have, but still, let us know your thoughts. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. We are coming up towards the end of the year, but there are still many more videos to come. As I mentioned, we've got The Boy and the Heron, which will be coming out this Saturday. We're going to shoot for. And then the day after, on Sunday, I will be slogging through 4 hours of the new Avatar movie. The movie's 3 hours, 17 minutes, but then when you account for trailers and travel time, that's over 4 hours of my day. And no doubt it will be glorious.
I'm glad I watched The Earwig and the Witch and not that.
I would rather... Oh, would I? Ooh, yeah. I don't know. Because here's with Avatar 3, from what I've heard, it's just the first and second movie again, but longer. So, that's going to be tough to get through.
The first one wasn't that good anyway.
And I've booked it in 3D as well, because I fucking hate myself. Because everyone's going to go, oh, well, you didn't watch it properly if you didn't watch it in 3D. It's like, well, all right, motherfucker, I'll watch it in 3D, and I'll still hate it in 3 dimensions. How about that? So,
dimension.
There we go. And then we'll have a Studio Ghibli ranking, and I might stream over Christmas. I don't really know what I'll talk about. I might just have like a Q&A.
When they're all done.
What, sorry?
You should do a tier list for Avatar when they're all done.
All 3 of them.
No, when they're all done, like when all 6.
Oh, God. Well, James Cameron said something where, like, if this one doesn't do as well, I don't know if he said if it doesn't do well or if it doesn't do as well, because it's just got to make under 2 billion for it to do not as well. So, you know, a mere 2 billion at the box office. It's going to make a shit ton of money. It's the big Christmas blockbuster, isn't it? There's nothing else coming out as far as I'm aware.
Oh, it's out today, isn't it?
No, end of the week, I think. Pretty sure it's the end of the week. I'm not sure. If it is out today, well, yeah, I can't see it until the weekend. So there you go. You get to enjoy that gem of a movie. But it is nice every now and then to talk about films that we enjoy. And we're already talking about retrospectives that we want to do next year. One that I'm very, very tempted to do. And I'd be interested to know people's thoughts on this, is to do a retrospective of all the Best Picture winners at the Oscars. So in just over a year, it's going to be the 100th Academy Awards, which is a pretty big deal. It's celebrating its centennial, which is awesome. Not that I particularly care for the night of the Oscars anymore. I've long since dropped off that. But I think it would be cool to go back to some of those old classics. It just depends if people want to watch it. I am going to try and think a lot about 2026 and which videos people want to watch. Not that it's all about views and things like that. We make videos because, you know, we want to talk about or we want to watch a particular thing, and we always will continue to do that. But it would be nice to sort of do videos that a lot of you engage with, you know, and that you really want to see, whether that's tier lists, whether it's sort of more Lord of the Ringsy style videos, because I haven't done one of those on the channel for a bit. Yeah, we're going to think of some stuff, but we've got a lot planned for 2026. So hopefully you'll join us. That'll do it for Earwig and the Witch. We've got one more to go, and we will see you on the next video. Take care, everyone.